Hello and welcome to the Next Level podcast. I am your host, Xolani Mlangeni. In today's episode, we are exploring franchising in South Africa. Opinion is divided on whether franchising offers a lower risk route to entrepreneurship for entrepreneurs compared with starting new businesses from scratch. In many sectors of the economy, startup businesses fail because they can't compete directly with large mature businesses with vertically integrated supply chains. To help us unpack today's topic, we are joined by a special guest, Thulani Cele, entrepreneur, founder of Msoho Solutions, and former chairperson of the Franchise Association of Southern Africa, FASA. Thulani is a franchise activist who is advocating for ethical growth frameworks and broadening access for emerging franchisees to the franchising sector. To kick off today's episode, we have prepared a detailed insert to whet your appetite. Is franchising low risk for entrepreneurs than startups? There are many South African entrepreneurs that launched their business careers through buying franchises instead of starting new businesses from scratch. This is because franchising offers a plug-and-play business model that reduces the risk of failure compared to starting a business from scratch. Franchising also provides training and support for first-time business owners and investors who are shielded from the risks of starting new businesses. An overwhelming majority of South African businesses go bust within 5 years of being established. This is because new businesses can't compete with established, well-capitalized, vertically integrated competitors that control multiple stages of their supply chains, from raw materials to manufacturing, distribution, and sales. An example of a vertically integrated business is a clothing company that owns its cotton farms, textile factories, and retail stores, or a food company that operates its own farms, processing plants, and delivery trucks. So, these businesses are able to take their products from production hubs to their customers. There is no part of the supply chain that is outsourced to external suppliers. This end-to-end control of supply chains creates economies of scale, making vertically integrated businesses barriers to market entry themselves. These natural barriers allow vertically integrated businesses to undercut prices and dominate access to markets and customers. In some markets and industries, vertically integrated businesses become so big and dominant that they end up becoming oligopolies and monopolies. On the other hand, startup businesses, which usually operate in just one part of the supply chain, find it hard to replicate what established businesses do without massive capital. Instead of trying to compete head-on, the only hope for startups to survive or thrive is to innovate or leverage new technologies that disrupt, overhaul, or dismantle established supply chains. The beauty of franchising is that it addresses the barriers that startup entrepreneurs face when they compete against established, vertically integrated competitors or industry incumbents. About 89% of franchisees report breaking even within the first year, which is something that most independent startups fail to achieve. But what is franchising in its simplest definition? Franchising is an expansion strategy that enables companies to rapidly grow their market footprints through partnering with a network of independent entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs, known as franchisees, are confined to operating within structured and ready-made business models of the franchisors, which are the companies that license their business concepts to the franchisees. The franchisees are responsible for finding startup capital, launching and operating their outlets. They also earn profits from their outlets but are obliged to pay license royalty fees to franchisors. This enables franchisees to operate under established brands with proven systems, marketing, and operations. Typically, Most entrepreneurs who operate businesses such as fast food restaurants, dine-in restaurants, auto spares, hotels, grocery supermarkets, hardware, and homeware stores have gone the franchising route instead of going independent. Franchising in South Africa is lucrative overall, but profitability for individual franchisees depends a lot on the brand, sector, location, and the business owner's entrepreneurial mastery. Food and beverage franchises, especially fast food and quick service restaurants, are the most profitable franchises overall due to high consumer demand and frequent purchases. This category of franchises typically accounts for the largest share of franchise turnover in South Africa, with fast food restaurants contributing the biggest single slice of industry revenue. In this category, well-known brands such as McDonald's and KFC, and as well as local chains like Chicken Licken, Nando's, Spur, and Steers dominate food traffic and brand recognition. In South Africa, franchising is a major contributor to the economy and a generator of formal, low-skilled jobs. According to the Franchise Association of Southern Africa, FASA, the sector generated a turnover of around 999 billion rand in 2023, which was equivalent to 15% of South Africa's 6.6 trillion rand gross domestic product at the time. This means that the contribution of franchising in the South African economy is higher than the contribution of mining and tourism, which contribute 7 and 9% respectively. The sector employs about 500,000 people, which is just over 5% of South Africa's formal workforce. While franchising offers many entrepreneurs with opportunity to navigate or even reduce risks associated with starting new business ventures, it is not without significant risks. There has been a fair share of corporate franchise failures that left franchisees with massive financial losses. Highly publicized failures of franchises like Chisanyama and old-fashioned fish and chips serves as a cautionary tale for would-be franchisees that franchising is not completely bulletproofed. Welcome to Thulani, to Next Level podcast. Before we dive deeper into today's topic, could you please explain to our viewers what is franchising and why some companies choose to expand their operations through licensing out their business concepts to independent entrepreneurs instead of expanding their operations organically themselves?
Hello, Xolani. Thank you for having me. It's an interesting question. The simplest way to explain franchising in my world is it is a person who wants to go into business, but in the case of franchising, you are in business for yourself, but you're not there by yourself. So you're there for yourself because you opt to go into that selected industry, and you consistently have the support of the franchisee through the franchisor through the franchise system. So franchising is basically, it is definitely a safer way to go because the concept is usually proven. Franchise association would talk to, you must have traded for at least 2 years profitably. And there are certain qualifying criteria that any aspiring franchisor should have. So when you come in as an investor or an aspiring franchisee, you're coming to buy into a proven concept and you have a lot of leverage, you've got a lot of support that the franchisor will provide you with. So what other entrepreneurs would be worried about is promoting and ensuring that you have enough traffic coming through to you. Franchisee would still do the promoting, but the franchisor carries a lot of that. So that is the way that you go into business. All you focus in is executing the offer that the franchisor is giving you in line with how they've actually asked or expect for the offer to be executed. So the reason that you'll find most people that choose to go to franchising, it's because you scale quicker through franchising. and the capital investment that you will typically have put in, it is actually lessened because a lot of what the investment will come from the franchisee when they invest. And because of the scaling process that is there, it is actually more cheaper to scale through franchising than it would be through any other methodology. And you'll also be leveraging on the knowledge of the franchisee that is coming in to basically push your brand and to ensure that your brand succeeds.
Yeah.
And it is easier to control because you actually have the benefit of selecting the best person that you think will represent your brand. So you look for highly motivated people to represent your brand. So there's a lot of benefits that a franchisor would get from a franchisee. And you also have an option. Usually the franchise lease, the lease that the franchisee will have between 3 to 5 years. So any time between 3 to 5 years as a franchisor, you can have an option to say, you know what,
yes.
actually we're done. You know, so there is that option to basically sort of renew or get fresh ideas and fresh people in. So it's all around ensuring that you have the right person.
Yes.
I call them the ambassadors.
Oh.
You have to have the right ambassador representing you out there.
Yes.
And they need to be prepared to execute in line with the set standards.
Oh, yes. In your experience, have you come across businesses that could make great franchisors but choose to grow organically instead of expanding through franchising?
In actual fact, I have.
Would you be able to maybe even name an example?
Yeah. So when the whole idea of jumping into getting involved in the game of franchising, it was after I stepped down as the chairman. That's when the idea of Let's Franchise was born. So the idea there was, let's go look for franchisable concepts and have those supported and have the process of getting a business franchise televised. So that's still coming up. To be going on SABC3. So I've always been fascinated by the business of Max Lifestyle in Durban.
Oh, yes.
Mlaz,
yeah.
So, I looked at it. I went to chat to Max to ask him, listen, have you ever considered franchising this business? I think to date, he gave me the best answer because in that answer came something that I realized may be something I take for granted. He said to me, as I'm standing here right now, conducting and shouting at people.
Oh, yes.
Who's going to be standing there? So there's only one of me, so I can't go and open another branch because I have to be here all the time. So one would laugh and say probably he doesn't understand that. And quite honestly, most people would probably not be fully appreciating what franchising does. What franchising does is that it replicates the excellence in your systems.
Yeah.
So it's what you take to the business or to the people is basically the excellence in the execution of your offer. So Max's Lifestyle, in my view, it's a well-run business. But one would need to go into the business to analyze the systems, to analyze the processes, and that is what you replicate when you are going for franchising. So I would still be going for Max when we do looking for franchisors as part of Let's Franchise and see if he would probably stand the test of time to have his business franchise. So Max, I'm coming for you.
Why is franchising primarily found in the services sector than in manufacturing, mining, or farming?
Services, franchising is really about scaling. So when you do scaling, you want to reach as much of people, of much of the market as possible. Manufacturing is capital investment intensive.
Oh, intensive.
So there's a lot of money that needs to come up front in the manufacturing. And usually the resources and what you'd be putting into the manufacturing process, they're not easily available sometimes. So the capital that you put in at the higher end of the process is higher than you would put in at the lower end. So it's really largely around the ease at which you can access the market, the ease at which you can basically spread the reach of the customers that you think. So it's the ease of reaching your customer.
Oh, yes, of course. And I like the fact that you also touched on the capital intensive side of things. In your opinion, what is plus minus the amount of capital individuals need to?
It varies.
Yeah.
It varies depending on the industry you're going
Yes.
into.
Yeah.
It varies depending on how you're going to be funded
Yes.
to access the right to trade. Because franchising, I always hear people saying, I own a BP. No, you've got a right to trade under the brand for a defined period of time. So once that time is gone, you're gone. So if, for example, I'll talk to the industry that I'm familiar with, which is petroleum.
Yeah.
So your petrol service station will be anything 6.5 up to 10 million or more. So the question is, do you have access to that kind of capital?
Yes.
Or what will it cost you to get access to that kind of capital? So if you qualify and you go to one of your funding institutions such as your NEF, SITFA, they would be asking for anything between 10 and 20% of unencumbered. So 10 and 20% of the service station thingy would be your goodwill plus working capital. 6 million rands plus 2.5 million rands. It's about 8.5, 9 million rands. 10 to 20% of that unencumbered is what would be required from you. So when we assess and we look for, does this person have access? We look for that 10% that you've got. It must be proven. Here's the money in the account. There's the balance. That's unencumbered. So if the business is 100,000, the 10 to 20%. So if you go to your commercial banks, they can ask to up to 50%. So that's why it's still an unreachable goal for some, because there are many people. I don't think there's many people that are sitting with 2 million rand in their account, except for you, Xolani.
Yeah, no, of course. Of course. And you answered a bit of this question, but what makes a good franchisee, and how do franchisors spot and select good franchisee? Is it like an interview process where they come together and the franchisor like interviews the individual? Are there any other guidelines maybe that you could add on?
It's basically how do you spot one? In my view, a franchisee is a great person. It should be a person who's able to conform to standards, who's able to follow the prescribed rules. So when the rule says you put this sauce and then that, no, you're not going to go and take your auntie sauce because it tastes better. It's not part of the formula. Yes. So franchising is strictly executing in line with your operations manual and stick to what the lease agreement states. So I still say a person who does not have a problem with following rules will make a great franchisee. However, there is an element of entrepreneurship. There is an element of excitement. So in the businesses that I've been part of, we use a psychometric assessment to basically gauge what we call core competencies and non-core competencies. So core competencies would be your understanding of financials. Non-core would be just being happy and being nice to people. So then what you will then look at is basically how the person scored on the psychometric assessment, and then look at how well the business plan was crafted. So you want to get a business plan that the person understands. We had sometimes we have someone who say, we will get the amapokopoko to come and promote and dance around the forecourt. Forecourt is being where the pumps are. And then you go to the marketing and they've got like 5,000 rands budgeted for marketing. So how much am Poko going to cost you? So really you look at how well the person has researched what they are pursuing. Because at the end of the day, you want to be sure that the person understands the market and they understand the challenges that they'll be faced with. So it's a combination of understanding the business, understanding the numbers, and being able to basically represent the offer in the best way possible.
In your opinion, which sector would you find individuals who are actually willing?
Nursing, you follow a defined thingy, but it would be a mistake to say there is a particular sector. Because at the end of the day, it is the person's willingness and it's the person's ability to respond to that offer. So if you go into that business and the question that people ask me all the time is, which business will make me quickest money? There isn't, you know? So the idea is I select something that you are passionate about. So when passion, ability, and willingness, you know, they meet, then there should be a chance of success in them.
No. If you are an entrepreneur and you are interested in buying a franchise, what are the costs associated with buying and starting up franchise? And how do you pick a good franchise that can potentially make good money?
Well, at Msoho, we're basically servicing the sector.
The
so we are working with the Franchise Association, and what we'll be doing as well is assisting those that are wanting to go in there.
Yeah.
So I truly believe in aligning the person's pursuit to the passion.
Okay.
Because I argue that when the profit is not there, what keeps you there?
Yes.
So right now, with the war and what's happening in the East, in the petroleum sector, the thingy is hitting the fan.
Yeah, it is.
You know, because the price of petrol has gone up.
Yes.
So you need to have the working capital. So to get a full load, 34,000 liters of fuel, it's close to R1 million that you must have 48 hours later. So it is a capital intensive, demanding business. So what do you need to have really is the flexibility to be able to meet the unpredictability, the unpredictable markets. Because if the price of the dollar versus rand affects you, there has to be the flexibility, which is why I would say possibly the offers that we've got through your national empowerment, your SITFA, is much better because they do have flexibility to accommodate you in the times of things where they give you a premium holiday and so on and so forth. So you just need to have the passion, the money, willingness, and the ability to do that. Yeah.
The industry-specific laws, we'll touch on the sector that you are specifically in, that regulates franchisee, franchisor relationships to ensure that the relationships are balanced and fair for both parties.
So you're asking for a regulation?
Yes, specifically in your sector.
Yeah.
I mean, it varies. I know.
But the basic standard of I think maybe the law, because the relationship between the franchisee and the franchisor is regulated through the lease.
Oh, yes.
The lease agreement.
Yeah.
So the lease agreement, we call it the Bible. So it is the
standard,
the document that you fall back on to ensure that everything works in line with what you're supposed to. So it's your basic law principles. But I think it was in 2010 when they promulgated the Consumer Protection Act.
Oh, yes.
So the Consumer Protection Act came in and it touched on many industries across and went into franchising as well. We were involved in conversing and ensuring that the lease agreement is as fair as it can be. Before the Consumer Protection Act, the franchisor would dictate to you where you buy your Coke from. So you'd find that you'd be buying your Coke for 100 rands from the franchisee when you know you can get it for 50 rands at Macro. But because the lease says thou shalt. So now the Consumer Protection Act is insisting that the franchisor demonstrates value for the franchisee. So you're no longer forcing people to buy from you because you can. You need to demonstrate that it is in your best interest to do that. So that is one regulation that's been put in place that regulates that. Petroleum Product Act in the petroleum sector is also quite useful because in there are rules that would protect your franchisees to franchisors, and the DMRE is basically placed there as a mediator in the event that there is a dispute, and the franchisee can't just wake up one morning and say, I don't like you anymore, go home. So there are those rules that sit in the regulation which basically regulates the way we behave and treat each other.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what does DMRA stand
Department
for?
of Minerals and Energy.
Oh, okay. No.
Where Ntate Gwede Matashe resides currently.
Yes. The University of Western Cape undertook a study that found that about 70 to 80% of small businesses in South Africa fail within the first 5 years of being established. The study outlines a number of reasons that cause the high failure rate. These reasons include inability to compete with vertically integrated businesses, lack of persistence and proactiveness by founders, lack of skills and access to capital and markets, and late payments by customers. Do you think franchising allows entrepreneurs to bypass risks associated with starting businesses from scratch?
Xolani, I think what's important here is to recognize the effort that the startups would have given to even give us the data of what is said to be the failure rate. So I wouldn't like that to be a discouraging factor to people that want startups. We have franchisable concepts because there are people that were willing to take that risk. So I want to congratulate those that have tried and failed, because that is where the winners come from. Yes, franchising allows you to bypass. Startups, 70 to 80% failure rate. Franchising, 10 to 15% at most, the failure rate. Why? It's proven concept, it's proven systems, so the support is there for the franchisee or the entrepreneur. All you are executing is the success that the 30% got when you are going to franchising. So yes, franchising, the system, the solution, does allow you to bypass. But again, for us to get to the franchisable concepts, you have to start off there at the 70%. So yeah, if you want to be safe, if you want to be looked after, just make sure that the franchise system that you are subscribing to is a member of the franchise association, because that gives you the comfort that the rules, the methodology, the operation standards conform to the international standards that the franchise association conforms to. If it is not a member of the franchise association, be careful.
Yes. South Africa is among the top 5 countries in the world where franchising makes the highest contribution to the GDP. The other countries being France, Australia, New Zealand, and Netherlands. Franchising contributes 15% to South Africa's GDP, which is very high by international standards. What does this statistic tell us about the structure of our economy and the importance of franchising in developing entrepreneurship in our country?
Those numbers trouble me, because yes, we have grown the contribution to GDP. I think in 2010, we were looking at like 4 to 5%, 3 to 5%. We've gone up to 15%, which is great. But I argue that if we allow participation of more people in the sector, we would be seeing slightly higher performance, because for the longest time, it's been the others that have been allowed to participate. So yes, we can be celebrating that number as being the highest, but I think it celebrates mediocre in my opinion, because we still are struggling to see the type of transformation, meaningful transformation, sustainable transformation, and unapologetic transformation. So yes, 15%, yay, but no. Let us get more people, especially the majority of the country, to participate meaningfully and sustainably. So yeah, I wonder what it is that is being measured, and I think that is obviously a great measure of a small fish tank in the ocean.
And in your opinion, do you think this 15% should be 20?
Why are we not in 30? We're not in the 30s because if you go and you look at petroleum, there is the fuels charter that was signed in 2009, I think. And it talks to the meaningful transformation. I still argue that if we were to go and look at how well executed that has been, I don't think we'll find a great number. And if you go and you look at what the definition of the transformed industry looks like,
Yes.
petroleum sector, yes, you probably have blacks, but they're not your African blacks. It's our brothers, the Indians, that are actually dominating the sector. I'm not saying that they shouldn't,
Yes.
but I'm asking the question, who's the majority? And is the majority reflected in the numbers for us to be celebrating some form of transformation? So I think it's time that we stop being apologetic about this. Let's be serious and meaningful, and be intentional about it. I heard one of the ministers actually drove down the coast one of the years, and he was shocked to see how many businesses are being operated by our Indian brothers and sisters. That person is the custodian of the regulation that regulates who comes in and out. Now, how are you shocked when you're keeping the keys? So I think there's a level of, I think it's just willingness to be ignorant when we know that we should be using the rules to allow participation for our people in a meaningful manner. So I argue 15%, great, but we should be at 30 if more people were allowed, or we're participating meaningfully and sustainably. We can be doing better. We should be doing better. Let's do better.
I came across an interesting piece of information when I was conducting research for this episode. According to FASA, 2/3 of South African franchises are homegrown brands rather than foreign brands. Are homegrown franchises prevalent in other emerging markets similar to South Africa? Or were we forced as a country to develop local franchises because of international sanctions during the apartheid era?
So the question, are homegrown prevalent? I would say, well, I would suppose then our homegrown are prevalent because if we look at the African continent, I think South Africa is one country or part of the country where the visitors didn't leave. So in the other parts of the continent, they went and they took them, they made them slaves. So here they stayed, and that kind of sort of forced them to look at those solutions, which has become what we call homegrown. So if we compare that to other parts of the world, I would say, yes, we do have excellence in products that we've produced. Nando's is one that comes to mind, which is now global. I believe they're even trading or sending just the sauce to different parts of the world. So I think South Africa can sort of pat itself in the back to say we've done well. So I would say then let's go look for more concepts like that are, coming from the emerging. So we are doing well, we've done well, we've got excellent products, and the vision is let's go and look for those emerging franchisors and get more of those solutions out, because there is a lot of talent that we can harness.
We are seeing a push into townships by franchises. According to FASA, 23% of franchises are now operating in the township. What do you make of this trend, and do you see more franchising growth in the township?
Oh, Xolani, this is like one of the very burning activities in the Msoho environment.
Oh, yes.
We are currently onboarding spaza shops, and the solution we're looking at is how do we make those businesses competent? How do we make them, give them a chance to be as great as they need to be by just sort of perfecting the art of doing business. So the franchises, the franchise operations that are in the township, yes, who's operating them? Is it the people from the township, or do you have some lovely gentleman from Umhlanga operating a franchise, KFC franchise in Umlazi? Why is it not someone from Umlazi? So I say yes, there is, but it is usually opportunities given to people from outside those areas. So as much as possible, I think an effort needs to be given to ensure that it is the local talent that is harnessed. And then there's this other thing of, let us keep the economic value that is created in the township, than coming to take and leaving with it. So we need to be, yes, encouraging more, and I think more of the people from the area needs to be operating those businesses and supported. And then as much as possible, let us keep the rand generated in the township, because the township is just being milked out and the revenue is being taken out of the township. And I think that nonsense needs to stop.
So essentially, it needs to circulate.
It needs to circulate within the township, because what you're finding is they're not developing. We are told right now that the economy is sitting in the township, but where's the money going to? It's not in the township. It's leaving the country through our foreign brothers and sisters, or it is leaving the country through the franchise systems. Needs to be invested in the township as much as possible so that we can develop our areas as well.
Touching on the township economy, do you think franchising can be applied in the spaza shop market to help Black South Africans to re-enter the township and rural grocery market, which they surrendered after being outmuscled by foreign immigrants and former white-owned retailers in that market?
I'm going to say I'm experimenting, or the team I'm working with, we're experimenting with that. And what's emerging for me is that it's not going to be franchising in its purest form. It's going to be the hybrid. It's going to be a combination of some elements of franchising and some elements of informality in the informal sector. So you don't want to, when you take franchising, you formalize it. I'll give you an example. There used to be a place in Cape Town, KwaMzoli. It's in Gugulethu. KwaMzoli, we used to go there, we would chill, that was the experience. So if one was to walk in and franchise that, you want to put chairs and make it decent. People are not looking for decent. They're looking for a place to hang out. So you don't want to mess around too much with the informality in the informal sector, but you want to be able to basically capitalize on the benefits that franchising would bring. So in the ability to negotiate better prices with suppliers, which is what I think the spaza market needs to have to win, because you need to be able to compete in price. You need to be able to compete in the quality of products that you are supplying. So yes, franchising does have elements in it that would prove valuable to the informal sector in the townships, but it's not the franchising in its totality. It's going to be a smart way of combining that. And the lovely thing is we're not working by ourselves. There are people that are in those spaces that have experience that we are now extracting the value from to be able to get as close to a perfect formula as possible. We are claiming back the township economy.
Okay, Thulani, let's conclude this discussion by looking at two of the most talked about failures in franchising in recent memory. I am referring to the failure of Chisanyama and old-fashioned fish and chips, which both went belly up. At their peak, old-fashioned fish and chips had more than 300 outlets nationwide, and Chisanyama had about 250 franchises across South Africa. What led to the downfall of these franchises, and could their demise have been prevented?
You said, let's conclude, Xolani.
Yeah. On a sadder
yes,
note.
on this conversation we will conclude, but I don't think the conversations that are exploring exactly what you are asking should end. Because what I find is that when there is that perception of failure, people go in their hide. And we don't double click to understand what is it that contributed to this that we call failure, because in there is a mine. So yes, I remember the fish and chips was around 2010. I was chairing around that time. Part of what I observed was the over-eagerness of the franchisee to expand too fast. Because remember, the franchisor to expand too fast. Yeah. So there were too many opportunities and promises given to people recklessly when the support was not going to be there sufficiently to support them. So I am holding the opinion right now that there was more people that paid for opportunities that just didn't materialize. I still have those emails in my inbox. So there was that where it was just the irresponsible let's call it what it was, greed. I think there was a lot of greed that went into it. And that is where then we say the franchisor acted irresponsibly. And there is a responsibility from the franchisee as well to do their due diligence. So rather than rushing because you think you're going to make a quick money, agloni banoi, it's a business, it's a concept. So on both ends, there needs to be a responsible way of doing things. And the responsibility is one of them. And perhaps even the franchise association needs to be called to account, because as the gatekeeper over here, the question is, what was done about that? So we need not have organizations, associations that are just there, not probably adding the kind of value that needs to be added. So what caused it? It's a number of factors. But I think I would go out actually and investigate that and maybe find out how we can prevent it in the future. So we all need to be held to account. Association, definitely. Franchisor, yes. Franchisee, maybe. But when we go there, we're not going to assign blame. We're going to understand what went wrong so that the future pursuit is safer.
Yeah, like put everything in writing per se, just for future franchisees.
We can put it in writing, but some people hate reading. So we will do it like you are doing it, put it on television, have ways and means of actually discussing this. So I really believe that we don't need to run away from failure. Let's look at failure as an opportunity for us to learn. So if you've gone in and you've failed, the 30% that is said to have, I think in there is where the success is going to lie. Let's celebrate failure.
Let's celebrate failure. I think that's a wrap on our end for today's episode. I would like to thank you, Thulani, for sharing your knowledge and expertise.
And thank you for making this interesting by doing your research. I love it.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all socials so that you don't miss an episode. I am Xolani Mlangeni. See you next time.